And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is the MLR Week 6 preview and pick'em episode by Rugby411. It's already Week 6. Can you believe it? We are a third of the season through. We have 5 games this week. It's a very interesting schedule. 2 games are going to be on Friday. 3 on Saturday, no games on Sunday. So if you're part of my Super Brew Pick'em pool, make sure you get at least the 2 games that are on Friday. You get those picks in before Friday. Otherwise, you'll lose out on some very, very precious points. Again, all these games you can watch absolutely live or on demand on the Rugby Network, absolutely free app, except for our game of the week, which is going to be on Fox Sports 2, and that will be the Dallas-Seattle game. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's start off. Friday, April 5th, 2 games like I mentioned before, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We kickoff, we have Anthem Rugby going over to Zion Stadium to take on the Utah Warriors. Utah coming off of a bye, Anthem coming off a very tough loss last week, where they almost won. You gotta give Anthem a lot of credit. They've been trying really, really hard in their games. And they just came short against Old Glory. I mean, they were winning at the half, and yet just fell apart. Utah is dealing with a lot of injuries right now. The bye came at a great time for them. I'm sure they're all healed up. Zion Stadium is a tough place to play. There's a lot of loud noise. This is the first time that these two teams have played against each other, so there's really no history to look at. But I gotta say, as much as Anthem has grown quite a bit already in a very, very young franchise history for them, I still gotta give Utah the win over Anthem this week at least. Then, just an hour and a half later, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, kickoff our game of the week. It's on Fox Sports 2, so it's not going to be on the Rugby Network. You got to watch it live on Fox Sports 2, and then you got to wait 24 hours later. It will pop up on Fox Sports 2, so there's a little bit of turnaround time. Dallas goes over to Seattle Seawolves at Starfire Stadium to take on Seattle. This should be a pretty good match. I mean, Dallas, again, they looked really impressive in their game against Chicago. I'm sorry, not against Chicago. Dallas looking pretty good against Houston, the top team in the league, the only undefeated team left in the league. They got a bye this week. How much you need a bye for them? But Dallas going over to Seattle. These two teams have played 4 times already, and all 4 wins for Seattle. I don't think that's going to change. Seattle still is a tough team to play at Starfire Stadium. It is the loudest stadium in the league. The 16th man, they like to say, on the pitch is the fans. And I believe Seattle will walk away with a victory. But man, Dallas is going to make this game close. So this will be a fun game to watch. And then the first game on Saturday, April 6, 2024, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time kickoff. Chicago goes over to NOLA. NOLA had a bye last week. So Chicago coming off of a very disappointing loss to the San Diego Legion. It's, to Seattle. Again, there's something wrong with Chicago. I think they're struggling quite a bit. I don't know why. And NOLA is the surprising team of the season, in my opinion, doing pretty well. They have played Chicago once before. NOLA had the win at SeatGeek Stadium, which, if you saw my other video, the stat was that Chicago's only won once at home. They've actually done better away. I don't think that they'll walk away with this victory. There is a stat with MLR that the bye makes a big difference. Teams that are on bye usually end up winning their game. NOLA's also going to be at home in the gold mine. Chicago's been struggling quite a bit. NOLA's looking really good. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago can pull off the victory, but I'm going with NOLA right now. And I think Chicago is still going to continue struggling for the season. And let's finish up the rest of the games on Saturday, April 6th, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Miami Sharks go over to New England to take on the reigning defending MLR champions, the New England Free Jacks at the Veterans Memorial Stadium in Quincy, Mass. New England coming off of a bye. Miami, man, again, coming off of a heartbreaking loss against the San Diego Legion. Again, Miami's looking really, really good for a new team. Actually, all the teams, Miami, LA, and even Anthem are looking pretty good. Like, they are competitive teams. Anthem, I think, is going to struggle more. Miami already has a win. So does LA. It won't be surprising to me that they'll at least get a couple more victories with the season. But in the case of Miami, going over to the reigning defending MLR champions, New England Free Jacks, who were on a bye last week, I just don't think Miami is going to have the muscle to take down New England. And so New England stays on the path of winning against teams so far this season. And then at 2 p.m., the last game of the week, your RFCLA Rugby Football Club LA goes over to the Maryland Soccerplex in Germantown, Maryland, to take on Old Glory DC. Old Glory DC almost had a heartbreaking loss to Anthem Rugby. They struggled quite a bit, and to be honest, I think Old Glory has really looked kind of shaky these last couple of weeks. LA ending getting their very first win in franchise history against Utah before having the bye week to recover for some injuries. You know what? Again, I'm going to be a homer, but at the same time, I really do think LA can go into Old Glory DC to beat Old Glory. This will be a good test for LA to see how well they travel. Most teams do struggle traveling for MLR, and it is a West Coast to East Coast travel, so we'll see how LA does, but I think LA can pull off the victory here against Old Glory. And speaking of which, if you are an LA rugby fan and you are in LA, we are going to have a watch party at Waterman's Restaurant and Bar in Hermosa Beach. Check out RFCLA's Instagram page, RugbyFCLA, for all the details, but we're going to be doing a watch party. I'll be there 2 p.m. At Waterman's Restaurant and Bar in Hermosa Beach to root on the RFCLA team. I know that a bunch of RFCL players that weren't able to make the trip over to Maryland will be there in attendance, and it will be a great time for all in attendance. Again, I'll be there. We're going to have a lot of fun. So come on by, check it out, and root on RFCLA. So that is the review. Again, only 5 games. Remember, 2 of them are on Friday. So if you're in my Super Brew Pick'em pool, make sure you get your picks in before those Friday games start. Because again, it is very competitive, especially the top players. And the top player at the end of the regular season does end up walking away with an MLR t-shirt of their choice, for the team of their choice, courtesy of yours truly. So again, thank you very much for watching my video. Enjoy the rugby action. We are in week 6. Can you believe it? It's going by so fast. And thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you on the pitch.